Whether it's that sneaky sugar in your morning coffee, the loads of sugar found in our favorite snacks, sugar is everywhere and it's affecting our health. That's why it's super important to work on reducing your overall sugar intake, because trust me, it's gonna leave you feeling much more energetic, lighter on your feet, less crashes, and ultimately you'll be one step closer to your weight loss goals. So I urge you, stick around, because in this video, I'm gonna give you 8 simple yet powerful techniques to reduce your sugar intake and improve your overall health. These are the techniques that I implement with all of my clients in the Wellness Lab to allow them to reduce their sugar cravings, lose their belly fat, and feel amazing. My name is Dr. Salako. I have helped thousands of women lose weight and fall in love with their bodies. Now, if you're someone that wants to lose 10, 20, 30 plus pounds, be sure to hit that subscribe button. This channel is your one-stop shop to improving your health. You ready? Let's dive in. First on the list to reducing our sugar intake, we have to let go of our sodas, our juices, and our sugary drinks. I know I'm starting out strong, but I want to show you something. So let's use a can of Sprite, for example. Sprite, don't come to me. Let's use a can of Sprite. Most of your canned sodas, not just Sprite, I'm shaking it up, most of your stuff has 40 grams of sugar. So if we look at the nutrition facts as they pop on the screen, a can of Sprite has 38 grams of sugar. 38 grams of sugar. What I went ahead and did, I have my sugar here, and this can of Sprite has 38 grams of sugar, right? So let's just say, let's round and say that's 40 grams of sugar. So 40 grams of sugar, and I'm gonna do this as I talk. I have this is a little bigger than a teaspoon. This is a tablespoon, but just bear with me. So it's 9 teaspoons, so that's 1. We're gonna go, I'll do 6 of these because it's a bigger spoon. That's 2, 3. This is how much sugar is in that. 4, and I'm not done yet, so we're still going. 5, and then the last one, we go, I'll do a little less, 6. Now, this is roughly about how much sugar is in this little can here. And we can drink a couple of these. I know me, when I go out on the weekend, sometimes I'll do a rum and Coke, and it may not be a Sprite, it may be a Coke, but this is how much you are drinking when you drink one of these. So we really need to start paying attention to the sugars in the drinks that we consume. We gotta reduce them. Starting here, I'm starting strong, but if we can cut out our sodas, our fruit juices, it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference for your health. Some alternatives to cutting out your sugary drinks like this: if you can go unsweetened, some unsweetened alternatives are great, or low sugar alternatives are great. I'll touch on later what to look out for, because some companies can say it's low sugar on the label, but there's actually sugar still in it. So swapping out for some drinks is gonna be great. If you wanna do seltzer, some seltzers are great. They'll still give you that fizzy, especially if you're going for a carbonated type of feeling. They'll still give you the fizz, but lower sugar. It's better for your health. That brings me right into point 2, making sure that you are reading your food labels. Now, I did a full video on reading food labels. If you want to check that out, that'll give you some great insight how to look at food labels as a whole. For this video, we're just gonna touch on the sugars. You wanna be mindful of, one, the overall number that it says, how many total sugars are in there. And then from there, you wanna look at your ingredient list so that we can see, is it natural sugars? Although they're natural sugars, we still don't wanna get a lot of natural sugars into our drinks. I'd rather you get your natural sugars from eating the actual fruits, or if you're gonna blend them yourself, because now you get to control how much sugar is in there. Some sugars you want to look out for. This is where our fructose, our sucrose, those type of sugars, they often get filled in there, but sometimes they'll still put low sugar. So they may say it's low sugar on the label, but it's still some high fructose corn syrup in there. There's still some fructose in there, and all the other names that tend to end in the ose. Some common foods that typically have these things in there, the fructose and the corn syrups, are gonna be our cereals. Some of our favorite cereals like Fruit Loops are gonna have that stuff in there. You also wanna be mindful of your yogurts. You're doing your due diligence. I'm trying to get more protein in my diet, and now you're getting different variations of yogurt to get your protein levels up, not knowing those are high in sugar. So make sure you're paying attention to the sugar levels in the proteins and the protein selections that you are picking, like your yogurts. Another example, you want to make sure when you're reading these labels, the sugar, it should be lower on the ingredients list. Typically when it's lower on the ingredients list, that means it's not in high quantities. The foods that you find higher on the ingredients list are typically the ones that are in large quantities in that. So you want to make sure it's lower on the ingredients list, but in most cases, if you can go for the low sugar alternative, that'd be the most ideal. Sugar tastes good. That's why it's filled in everything. Salt tastes good. That's why a lot of things are filled with sodium as well. So you want to make sure that you are not only looking at that number, but also looking at your sodium number. Yes, you may spare on taste a little bit. However, you're being better for your health. Next up, we want to make sure that we are picking whole foods and foods that are lower on the GI scale. When I say whole foods, I'm thinking of foods that are typically one ingredient. So if you go to the store and buy potatoes, it just says potatoes. If you go to the store and buy hash browns, it's going to say potatoes, canola oil, gum, etc. All the long list of ingredients. So when I'm saying whole foods, I'm thinking of foods that are typically one ingredient so that you're getting the most beneficial natural state of it. Now let's talk about the GI scale. The GI scale, which essentially determines how quickly a food can spike your blood sugar levels. This is especially important for those who are pre-diabetic, navigating through diabetes, or have insulin resistance. Some foods can cause a rapid spike in your blood sugar levels, making it, one, hard to lose weight, but two, it can lead to crashes and energy crashes. For example, think about when you eat a high carb breakfast where you're having pancakes, potatoes, etc. Those things are higher on the GI scale, causing you a spike in your insulin levels, which we eventually have an energy crash. Versus something like apples, boiled sweet potatoes, brown rice. Those things are typically lower on the GI scale and they don't cause that sugar spike. So over time, it's a slow release of energy. That's why they typically say eat oatmeal in the morning, because it's gonna give you slow, sustained energy throughout your day. Versus eating white bread in the morning, you'll have that initial spike and eventually you'll have that crash. Now, one of the things that I am super excited about when it comes to our weight loss program is being able to teach the ladies how to make better food choices. I wanna read to you one of the testimonials, or one of the conversations, better yet, that I had with one of my clients in our messages. So she said, now only 7 pounds from my goal. Pretty consistent at 1 pound or so a week. I think after all these years, I finally have a healthy relationship with food and a daily routine to move my body. That is amazing. That is my ultimate goal for all of the clients that come through our program, ensuring that they have a better balance with food and they are able to make smarter decisions about what to put in their body. She's someone who, when we started out, nutrition was a big area that we needed to address. Being able to address her nutrition, get her some balance, teach her how to track her calories, teach her what the numbers mean. Now she's someone who's saying herself, I have a better balance and I'm consistently losing 1 pound a week. Moving on to a couple days later, she comes to say, sorry, I haven't been doing a good job logging my workouts, but I've been doing them. Awesome, it happens, we all get busy. But she has been focused on doing what she needs to do even though she's not tracking it. Please set her new goal to 240. She hit 245 this morning. So we can see on August 6th, she was 7 pounds away from her goal, and now August 12th, even more progress. So if you're someone who knows that you struggle with your sugar intake, you struggle with finding balance in your food, you struggle knowing how to piece it all together, what I want you to do is click this info card popping up and book a clarity call. On that clarity call, it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you and see what areas do you need help with the most. And then we'll be able to put together a strategic plan for you to get from where you are to your ultimate goal. Moving on to tip number 4. Now we're looking at our sweeteners. We already talked about good old pure sugar, but what about honey and stevia and all of those? Well, those are great alternatives. Honey is a naturally occurring sugar. Adding honey instead of table sugar is great. It's a good alternative. However, you still want to be mindful of how much, because just like with anything, too much of anything is not good for us. Now, when it comes to stevia, monk fruit sweetener, these are also great alternatives for regular sugar. However, you want to be mindful, some of these things, they're not naturally occurring. So stevia, monk fruit, etc. Some of those aren't naturally occurring. So you want to be mindful because it can cause some irritation to your gut. Why? It's because it's not natural. These are artificial sweeteners. With artificial sweeteners, the key word is artificial. How is your body going to respond to an artificial thing? For some, it may cause inflammation. For others, it may cause some bloating and constipation or gut irritation. So you want to be mindful of these artificial sweeteners. While they're great because they don't cause spikes to your blood sugar levels, they may have some not so great effects to other aspects of your health. So it's just something you want to keep in mind. Tip number 5, watching your portion control. You could eat broccoli all day long, and it still doesn't mean you have the best health. You could reduce your sugar and use honey as an alternative and stock up on honey. Doesn't mean you have the best health. We got to make sure that we are watching our portion control. Even though we may go into an alternative, you still want to make sure you're watching how much you want to get to. I typically recommend all my clients to maintain 30 grams or less of sugar every day. If we can aim for around 30 grams or less of sugar, that puts us in a really good spot. The typical recommendation is 25 to 30 grams. I tend to go on the high side because it's easier for them mentally. A lot of them, they come in with, they have a lot of sugar in their diet. So what I try to do is meet them halfway. Let's start at that 30 grams. Gradually over time, we'll reduce that. That is hard to do. 30 grams of sugar each day is hard to maintain. Something as simple as ketchup has a bunch of sugar in it. When you get your coffee creamers, they have sugar in it. So I understand that sugar is all around us. We just have to do the extra step in reading our food labels, tracking how much that we eat so that we can be more mindful with our portions and how much sugar we're consuming in our diet on a daily basis. Tip number 6, make sure that you are swapping out your sweets wherever you can. One simple thing that comes to mind is rather than using your cereals and eating a high sugary cereal, let's do oatmeal with fruits and berries. It's crazy to me whenever people say fruit just isn't sweet. What that lets me know is you have a high sugar diet because you have become desensitized to the amount of sugar that is in fruits. Mangoes are sweet, grapes are sweet, strawberries are sweet. I know it depends on the season, but some of these fruits are higher in sugar. Watermelon is another fruit that's high in sugar. Those things should feel sweet to us. So sometimes if we need a sweet alternative, something as simple as fruit can be that sweet alternative. I know fruit isn't going to get in place of the cake, and I'm not saying that we can't have these things. It's just in moderation. I'm someone diligently, every Sunday I have carrot cake. Every single Sunday. I love it. That's my jam. So balance, right? I try to reduce my sweets during the week. So you have to figure out what that balance looks like for you and find easy and quick swaps where you can. So portion control and knowing when to swap out certain foods is one of the reasons that my client was able to significantly reduce her insulin levels and improve her health. So I'm going to show you a testimonial of one of my clients. She lost 26 pounds in 2 months. Yes, I said that correctly. 26 pounds in only 8 weeks. Part of the reason that she did that was because she was able to significantly make adjustments to her diet. Now, I know what you're thinking, 26 pounds, that's unrealistic. It's different for everyone. Some of that, yes, is water weight. But what lets me know that this is a true 26 pounds is because of the changes that happened to her internally. Let me show you her testimonial. She said a lot, so I'm going to highlight the middle piece. She said, during the 2 months, I lost 26 pounds. My A1C dropped 2 points and my blood pressure read normal. Her A1C dropping and her blood pressure reading normal indicates 2 things. For her blood pressure, we were able to significantly reduce the amount of sodium in her diet. For her A1C, we were able to significantly reduce the amount of sugar in her diet and cholesterol in her diet. She goes on to say, I went from 60 units of insulin to 10 units of insulin. I'm a firm believer, had given the opportunity to do the full 6 months, it would have changed my life completely. Now that is a powerful testimonial. her insulin going from 60 to 10 units. That lets me know we've reduced her sugar intake significantly. Now, if you're someone who you may have a high A1C, you may be dealing with blood pressure problems, or you just know sugar is starting to control your life and you need some help. Again, the Clarity Call link is popping up on the screen. Go ahead and check that out. Book that call because we would love to help you get a hold and a handle around this sugar. I'm telling you, it makes a difference when you are able to go in the kitchen and have confidence knowing what you're gonna eat, knowing how to prep your meals, and then stepping into the gym and doing exercises that you actually enjoy. Those are some of the things that we do for our clients, and those are some of the things that I would love to do for you. So make sure that card's popping up. Go ahead and book that call. I would love to talk with you. Tip number 7, making sure that you are getting enough sleep. Sleep has drastic effects on our hunger hormones. So when we don't get enough sleep, ghrelin, that's one of our hunger hormones. It tells our body that we're hungry. That level can increase when we don't get enough sleep. Why do you think you have cravings when you're more tired? Why do you think we crave comfort foods? It's your body's way of trying to course correct and reach a sense of homeostasis. So if you get more sleep, this will not only affect your cravings and allow you to decrease the amount of cravings, you'll be able to make smarter choices when it comes to your sugar. Sleep and sugar go hand in hand. So you have to make sure that you are getting adequate sleep. There was a study where they tested 2 subsets of individuals. They were both on the same exercise regimen. One didn't get enough sleep. The other, they got adequate amounts of sleep. The group that didn't get adequate amounts of sleep, they had reductions to their muscle mass. They had reductions to their bone density. They had worse appetite choices. And also they were at greater risk for obesity. So sleep is very important. You gotta make sure you're getting adequate sleep. Tip number 8, making sure you are planning your meals ahead of time. This summarizes everything. This is the most important because it's no way that you'll be able to know how much you're eating, look at the calories if you're not planning ahead of time. We gotta start prepping our meals because I know you. If you didn't prep, that's where you go to that Starbucks in the morning and you get that sugary drink and you get those sides and you're not able to control what you're putting in your body. Or you didn't plan your lunch and now you're eating out. You don't know how much sugar, salt, sodium they're putting into this stuff, but you're ordering it because it's your favorite thing to eat and it's convenient. We got to start planning and prepping our meals ahead of time because it puts us in a position to be in control of our diet, to be in control of what we eat. I'm not asking you to prep every single meal. All I'm asking you is to be intentional. What meal do you struggle with the most? Do you typically eat worse for lunch, for breakfast, for dinner? Pick the meal that you eat the worst with, and that's the one I want you to start prepping first. Put it in the comments which meal you're gonna start prepping first. If you're great and you're prepping your meals all the time anyway, let me know and say, Doc, I'm on it. I prep all the time. But if you're someone who's more like me, who doesn't prep all 3 meals, I typically prep lunch just because the hustle and bustle of the day, I want to be able to pop it in the microwave, eat, and go back to work. So I typically prep lunch. Which one are you going to start prepping first? Now, I mentioned earlier the importance of reading food labels. Wow, these 8 tips are going to help you improve your sugar cravings, reduce the amount of sugar that you have in your diet, and ultimately get one step closer to your weight loss goals. Knowing the food labels is just as important. So there's a video popping up to my left. What I want you to do is go ahead and check out that video. I'll see you over there. We got to read our food labels, and this is how we truly lose the weight and keep it off. Ready? Let's jump right in.